You're listening to the Angry Designer Podcast, where we help frustrated graphic designers crush the industry bull and share what it takes to charge what you're worth and build badass, rewarding careers.
All right. Well, listen. Let's have a good cheers here.
It
This
smells nice.
smells great.
Yes, it
so
does.
this
Salute.
is fake bourbon.
Fake bourbon.
This is
I'm happy for you.
Well, I really do miss the bourbon right
Yes,
now.
I know you do.
This whole trade war bullshit, it's affecting my bourbon, consumption, guys. Somebody's going to have to talk to, the American president and be like, let those Canadians get their damn bourbon. But actually, I think Canada blocked that. Anyway, regardless, this is good whiskey. And it's in oak casks, right?
Okay,
It's
that's nice.
Lehman product.
Oh,
And it actually tastes very similar to a bourbon. Okay.
Okay.
You still notice that it's got so many notes. It's really good. And as you can tell, because I've had a rough couple of weeks,
you've already tapped
dug into this one in your absence. So thank you.
Okay, well,
But,
this is new for me, so this is good. Cheers.
Give this a shot. Let me
smells
know what
really
you think.
nice.
I know it's great.
Oh,
What do you think?
that's pretty good.
Not bad, right?
That's not bad.
I've realized I am definitely more of a fan of bourbon than whiskey, but this whiskey has got some really, really great. So this is it's called Spring Mill Distillery, a John Sleeman and Sons company. So it's Sleeman's whiskey, and it's traditional straight rye whiskey. But again, it's in oak casks, and it's just something about it. It's great in American white oak casks.
Oh, okay.
So, and the barrels do come from Kentucky. So I kind of still feel like
So
we're sneaking some kind of
in there.
bourbon a little bit. So,
well, I do feel bad for you. It has not affected me at all because I'm a Scotch drinker. So
yeah, it's been a sad little while.
yes,
needless to say.
I can imagine. But that's really good. That is if that's not real bourbon, then boy,
Right? I think it's pretty
great-
darn close.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
for now, this will be this is a good find, I think, for a little when I need my cravings.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
speaking of like imitation stuff and fake stuff, I don't know if you've been watching what happened this week, but OpenAI about a week ago launched their new their new image generator, right? They had an image generator, DALL-E, which now they've just merged into chat. And it's scary fucking good.
Is it?
It is so good. So this is where everybody went crazy with this whole Studio Ghibli. You see the memes everywhere. Everybody's been Studio Ghibli'd, right? And guilty. I did as well. I took a picture of my family and I Studio Ghibli'd it, and every one of my kids was in Studio Ghibli. It looks incredible to the point where I believe Studio Ghibli's actually put up a lawsuit against it.
No.
Sadly, I probably think it's going to lose just because, again, it's like, you know what I mean? It's in the style of, or create this in the style of, it's even though they probably did, well, no, not they probably, they definitely used Studio Ghibli content to get and to train these models, right?
Right.
The output or the execution, the prompt is no different than us going to, at an art class and being like, hey guys, like, your assignment today is to create, a scene just like Van Gogh's Starry Nights, but make it personal to you. So,
and I don't know how many times I've ripped off Andy Warhol doing band posters and stuff like that, right?
Right.
I mean, it's a great idea, but
I mean, this is a whole other conversation altogether, of course. And I know that there's a whole ethics part of this, and I think we've touched on this before. But needless to say, Studio Ghibli took notice. They did whatever, and there's a lawsuit going on. But the bigger picture here is it's really fucking good. Like, it's scary good. What it's capable, it's got image rendering, text rendering. I've seen designers and people online, put up examples and be like, here's a picture, right, on the left-hand side of a composition, and it would be like a seaside setting with a big can of Coke on it. Right. And on the right side, they took a picture of a mayonnaise bottle from their kitchen. And they're like, okay, take this mayonnaise bottle and create a scene exactly like that, replacing the Coke with the mayonnaise bottle. And it was like bang on. Within seconds, it would recreate this image. And we're talking, it would redo text. You could prompt it. Like, it has gotten to the point now where it's not just, replacing images, but it understands the context that you're asking. It's getting really, really scary. And, not that I've ever been scared of a designer's purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think a lot of people really have something to worry about.
Right.
Because, I mean, there's always been a creative divide. Okay. The big creative divide, right? And the divide is like, when we were young, we would think different. Right. We were creative kids.
Yes,
and we would, create monsters that, look out of garbage cans and balls and bricks or
sticks and guns,
right?
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And people would always be like, wow, like you're the way you think is so creative, so creative. Right. And that led to creative careers for us.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And what that did is that separated us from everybody else because we were creatives. Right. And it meant something, okay, because we were able to perform these tasks. And then after a while, it's like, what made us different and separated us, divided us from everybody else was the fact that now, we were hands-on creative and we could create things that were deemed to be creative.
Right.
Okay. That was our separation. That was what separated us from everybody else, right? The challenge is that superpower that we had is pretty much gone.
Yes.
And that's the scary thing. The more I think about this, that what used to separate us from everybody else, the fucking playing field is completely level.
Yeah, it was hours of time spent, of log time. And now you could just go in there with a clever sentence.
Yes. Right.
and away you go. You got the same thing that we're doing.
You could prompt it, right? AI is like creating is because, people switched, how they described what we did to, our output. Now AI is now creative. Templates are creative. Our fucking cousin Vinny is now creative. Okay. Like
ripping it up on Canva.
Ripping it up on Canva. Oh, Vinny.
Oh, way to go, Vinny.
But like, I mean, that's a big thing. Because then where does that leave the creative designers?
Right.
Okay. And I think that's the challenge. And that's kind of what I was hoping to kind of talk about today at a high level, because again, we've danced around this and, kind of, put out there what the future designer is. And we're going to talk about what the future designer is. Right. But the reality is the creative divide as we know it has changed. And there is a new creative divide that's on the horizon that we have to adopt to. Or we're just going to burn up and die.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's nipping at our heels too, right?
Dude, absolutely it is.
Every iteration of AI or some kind of image generator just gets better and better
and better.
Yeah, which is like, oh shit, this is
and
crazy.
This one has, honestly, I'm shocked.
Really?
I thought after last year, I was like, okay, at the pace this is going, nothing's going to shock me.
Right.
This is it's just like the jump is just so monumental that it's like it's to the future. I can see the future. And our hands-on design is going to be less and less and less, right? But I mean, again, it's not necessarily, it's definitely not our fault.
No,
right?
No.
Because we've all been kind of sold a myth, as graphic designers, right? We go to school, right? And everybody used to always tell us that, creativity is enough and you can do this, right? And it was king, right? Graphic design school pushed design. Okay. It pushed design style, originality. It made us work on our brush strokes. It made us work on our ink output, right? Like everything was based on design. We focused on fucking design principles.
Yep.
Studied the greats, which was amazing. Sadly, almost all those principles have now entered into AI.
Yes.
Okay. Which is crazy, right? But for years, whether it was school and after school and amongst our peers, right? And everything that you even see now on social media, we were always led to believe that creative design was enough. And if you could create something that looked great, that was enough.
You were always one step ahead of everybody else.
Right.
Yes.
And granted, this was a real thing back in the 60s and 70s because, it was a very small pool of people could actually physically hands-on do design. But then as technology evolved and as we went from, like ink to like, photos to then the Mac and then Mac to like more desktop publishing and everything, you could see that all of a sudden the pool of potential designers got broader.
Yes.
And broader and broader.
Expanded. Yeah. Exponentially. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, all of a sudden we're sold this idea that our creativity and our creative execution abilities, which is what they trained us on in school, was our golden ticket to our future. Okay.
Yes.
And the sad part is the world changed. And boy, did it change.
Yes.
It just feels like, again, it took 20 years for me to see our world go from print to digital.
Yeah.
But it took what felt like a blink.
Yes. To this whole AI stuff.
I mean, I don't even think this AI stuff was really like even people were talking about during COVID days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it has literally been the past 3 to 4 years. Like it's just crazy how fast this went, right?
Exactly.
So now it's like AI can be creative too, or at least people think, because people have always have come to assume that creativity is just output.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so nobody's even giving us like props on the way we think and our creative thing. When was the last time somebody said, "Sean, I love the way you think. It's so creative." Right? They don't. They look at what you're doing now.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
And they're like, and they're using that as like, you are creative, right?
Judge it on. Yeah.
So, and I mean, the reality is, well, now AI can do this and it can output shit. It can output it faster, right? And the execution part isn't just exclusive now to, classically trained designers or designers who put in the time and effort and the grit, right? And again, the problem is AI doesn't sleep. AI doesn't, you can give it as much feedback as you could be the worst customer in the world to it. It doesn't care.
That's right.
It'll happily give you more examples. And the more you prompt, the more you get back, right? This is where it's like determination can really create some crazy things using AI, right?
That's true. Yeah.
And again, it can just do concept after concept after concept. So there's a lot here that, I guess that seems creative, okay? But the thing is, AI isn't actually creative. It only mimics creative.
Yes.
Okay? It can't think like creatives. This whole idea that we were talking about, or what I mentioned about at a young age, being creative and being thought of as a creative and saying we think it can't do that.
No.
Because ultimately it's a mathematical formula, right? It can only output based on the data that it has in. But granted that it's got all the fucking data in the world.
It's got a lot of data. Yeah, exactly.
Okay? But it still needs prompts.
Yes.
It still needs the thought process. It still needs to be worked, and it needs to be worked hard.
Yes.
Okay. It does, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't understand the why behind the needs that you're actually giving it, right?
Yes.
It's just, the higher level thinking, human nuances, it doesn't understand that. It just is extremely incredible at creating the output. So like shortcuts,
right?
All the important stuff, right?
Yes.
So this is where it's like, on one hand, designers think that, like our jobs are on the line, and yeah, you know what? Like, I mean, I'm kind of over the fact that, generative AI can expand an image in minutes, what would take me days to do previously. I'm okay with this. I hated fucking doing that, right? But I mean, again, I'm over about that, right? But there is a whole new creative divide that I think we have to talk about, because at one point, us creatives, what separated us from everybody else, it's now obsolete, right? Because everybody's able to do and create the output product that, people always assumed, right? So basically, the new creative divide, okay? This whole new idea of the new creative divide that exists right now, okay? And this is kind of where our futures hinge on.
Right.
Okay? Because basically, you're going to have two types of creatives now. Because let's face it, if everybody is calling you a creative based on your execution or your output, okay, everybody's equal to, capable of the exact same equal execution, okay? So everybody's creative in that case. But there's going to be two different kinds of creatives, okay? On one side, you've got creatives or people pretending to be creative, okay? That all they're focused on is making things look pretty and making things look cool. And, now shit doesn't actually look raw and poorly done and everything, right? Because AI, it's incapable of making anything look shit.
Exactly.
Okay? Yes. But this is what these people focus on, because this is all they know.
Right.
Okay? And on the other side, you've got creatives who are thinkers, who are strategists. They're the ones who are solving problems.
Right.
This is going to be the new creative divide. And this is what's going to basically take designers into the future or leave other ones in the dust.
Nice.
Okay. So again, what we're talking about here is creative output versus creative thinking. Okay, so this is the new creative divide, okay? So output, of course, is execution, it's visuals, it's, colors, it's combinations, it's style. This is what creative output is. And unfortunately, anybody who can type a prompt, even a half-ass prompt can get these kind of results. Okay. The other creative is creative thinking. This is where you start thinking about the purpose of what it is that you're doing. You're thinking about the audience and what's in it for them. You're thinking deeper than just at surface level. Okay. And you're trying to find the right messaging, the right timing, the right problems to solve within this whole larger purpose to discover. So this is actually going to be, this is what is going to be taking us into the future if designers actually give a shit.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's the why versus the how.
100%.
Right?
It's the why versus the how.
Yes. So the how could be a chat GPT thing, right?
Chat.
Whereas
anybody,
what we're doing is why are we going to go this route?
Exactly, right? We're trying to find
chat won't do that.
Why.
Not yet.
It won't. Now, again, don't be fooled. If you were to try to use chat as a problem-solving tool, it could help you get to that why.
This is true. This is true. Yeah. But you still have to know the prompts to put in.
Exactly. Right. Because that's the thing, right? People keep forgetting that chat on its own isn't going to do anything.
It can't do anything.
It's not.
You got to tell them.
And those people who are using it to focus on creative execution, they're the ones who think they have the edge because now they're all creative and they can do that. But the reality is they don't have the mindset, the questions, the understanding, and the long-term vision to figure out the why.
Right.
Okay. So these are the designers that are winning right now. Okay. The ones who are strategic thinkers, who are creative thinkers. This is where that whole design thinking methodology actually comes into play, right? Okay. Because it does. This is the designers who think aren't just about creative design, right? These are the people that are actually in demand because these are the people who are able to think deeper and further, just like you said, onto the real problems.
Right.
An analogy that sits close to my heart, okay, is like, creativity is like the car, okay, and we all know how much I love cars, and strategy is the GPS.
Oh, that helps you get to where you're going.
Exactly. That gives you a point to where you want to go. So don't get me wrong. It's great to jump into a car and drive, and just drive around in circles.
And
just
do whatever.
Creativity. Sure, I can make this work and that work and this. But if I don't have a destination of where I'm going, all I'm doing is just spinning tires. I'm just spinning my tires. It's a joyride. And that can be fun.
Yeah, that's great.
But it doesn't get me anywhere.
Exactly.
I'm not any further to any destination. I'm just kind of driving in circles. So that's a good analogy for this, right?
That's great.
Creativity is the actual car itself, and it's fun, and everybody looks forward to it. But if we don't have a destination of where we're going, if we don't have a purpose, okay, literally, it's mindless. It's just for fun.
Right.
And, this isn't something that I guess you can say, like, there's real life examples to this. Okay. So, a good example to this is, remember when Pepsi spent like $1 million fucking on a new logo? Okay. And it's okay to spend $1 million on a new logo. Citibank did it, and that was a good one, but Paul Assure. But this was the joke where they spent $1 million. They created a brand book.
That was ridiculous.
Right?
Yes.
All the arc. And this arc is now found in history and in the museums and in the Coliseum. And, we got Fibonacci, formula.
All that stuff in there.
It was basically like what felt like 1,000 pages of bullshit to back up their $1 million price tag for a new ugly logo.
Yes.
And what happened? It fucking bombed.
Yes.
No one liked it. Everybody made fun of it. It was like the laughing joke. Forever. And nobody got it. Okay.
Nobody understood it.
Because they focused on the creativity. And even though they said it was very strategic in why they built it.
Sure.
They had no purpose for the fucking thing. They had no idea the why. They were just defending on the what they created. Okay. So that's why that was a giant, failure. But then if we compare that to something legendary like Nike's Just Do It.
Just Do It.
Beautiful. Okay. So
beautiful.
Just Do It. This focuses on people. Okay. This focuses on people's will, on their ambitions.
Right.
Okay. It has a long-term purpose. And, when you hear Just Do It, everybody, I don't care if you love Nike or hate Nike. I'm an Adidas guy personally, so I don't care. But
still,
it's a legendary campaign.
It was, yes.
And it was, and still to this day, when you hear that, right?
Yeah, that's what you think of. Yeah.
It's deeper, right? And that was they figured out their why. Or Apple's, think different.
Right.
Okay. So again, had nothing to do with their computer.
No.
They're not selling their product. They weren't selling even their brand. They were telling people out there to do things outside the norm, think differently.
Yes.
The original creative divide.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did that do? That then paralleled with their brand and how they thought differently about the way they made things and this and that, but they never actually came right out and said, our computers are different.
Yes.
They just promoted that idea.
Right. Right. And this, you can say that with Nike too,
absolutely.
It's just do it. It's a motion, it's a movement kind of thing. Both pertain to what their brands are. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Apple was very different at the time, but what came up.
Very different.
That is a great strategy to run with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I do think that this is the new creative divide, right? Where, we have to now separate ourselves from, the design execution or the creative execution or output and start focusing on, the thinking that's behind everything, right? We need to start, it is our wake-up call.
It is, yeah.
Because this is the way designers are going to thrive in the future. Nice. Because, no more are we going to be able to rely on, hardcore design skills, because the reality is a lot of the output stuff that you see out there, right? It's now being done for you. Okay. So again, gone are those long production hours of photoshopping this and making that. Now it's like companies are just, and it's not that they can, companies are doing it, and you're seeing it. And we're not just saying small shops, but giant multi-billion-dollar companies are already using AI to create campaigns and using AI. They're not replacing agencies on a whole.
No.
But they're using it to augment a lot of their marketing material,
for
right?
Sure, yeah.
So for designers, we need to start changing our mindset a little bit, right? We need to start asking why more than how or okay, right? We need to start understanding how business works and start, understanding business operations and presenting logic as part of, what we're doing, not just visuals and color schemes, okay? And honestly, if you get a brief that has no purpose, we need to push back a little bit, right? And challenge our customers to think a little bit deeper and a little bit long-term, right? Yeah. Because again, I firmly believe the role of the designer in the future is to be the human that AI, that the machine can't replace.
Right.
Okay? Because again, it can't do anything without us taking the lead.
Right.
And creative people who think that they can do the output, that they're equal with us, can't get these kind of results without knowing the depth that we have.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
So, you know what? AI, let it write. Okay, let it fucking come up with the copy. Let it generate the layouts. Let it do 100 different logo variations, because that shit's coming. Okay, it is in like 10 seconds. And you know what? Good.
Yeah.
Let it.
Yeah.
Okay, because honestly, that's not design. That's output.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And this is what this whole thing's about, that our whole vision, the new creative divide, can't be focused on just output. It has to be focused on our new mindset.
Right.
Okay. Designer of the future, we need to be strategists, not just pixel pushers.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to be curators of new visions and taste, because God knows customers often have none. Okay, imagine what they'll create if they go into AI and type in what their new brand is going to look like.
I don't need an agency. I'm just going to do it myself.
Right?
Oh boy.
We're going to be acting like creative directors, brand psychologists. Like, there's a huge place for designers, because we just have to go back to thinking differently, thinking creatively, not just doing creatively,
Yeah.
With this being said, I do think, so this still might be kind of a weird concept for a lot of people to understand. And I understand that a lot of people are in a position right now where they're doing design, they're doing production work, and they can't see anything further. Okay. So I'm trying, I kind of got a small list of simple things on how to actually cross that next creative divide that we're into, because this is it. I mean, again, the first creative divide is gone, and AI has sadly leveled that field. The new creative divide is going to be creative output versus creative thinking.
Right.
Okay. So how do we cross this new creative divide? Okay. I got 5 different ways of doing this. Okay. 5 points. Okay.
5 points.
So, and these are practical next steps.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just my thinking. If you guys have other ideas, let me know. But, number one, I definitely think designers need to change how they actually start a new project with customers. Okay. And what I mean by this is, we kind of touched on this before, but instead of asking, what should this look like? Okay. We should be starting with, what is the problem that we're trying to solve?
Right.
This has always been something that, designers have done, especially the higher end designers. Okay. Designers who are getting paid 6+ figures and are working with $1 billion companies. They're not asking what colors, the customer wants. They're not asking, what mascot, or if you're an animal, what animal best suits you. No, they're asking, what are the problems that we're trying to solve?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You want to ask, who is this for? Okay. Ask about the audience. Ask about what information do they know about the audience that you can challenge thereafter, in a very good, respectful way.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Using your brilliant AI tools. Okay. And the big thing is you want to ask them, why does this matter?
Right.
Okay. So if they're like, hey, we're launching something and I need you to create something to advertise it. Why? Why do people give a fuck that you're launching this? And what good is it going to do?
Yeah.
Because this is now going to change it from, introducing new feature 4.0, with now 200% more processing power.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the world that we live in when it comes to engineers and technologists, right? But the reality is so many other people are the same thing. Like, when they talk about, this is, eco-friendly product. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Don't assume everybody understands, because eco-friendly now is just like it's a buzzword.
It's just a tag. Yeah, exactly.
Shit, right?
Exactly.
And you can't tell me that shit that's coming from Shein isn't all just touting eco-friendly and made with love, okay? Like, these are overused buzz terms.
Right.
So use your own brain, find out what the problem is that we're solving, who is it we're solving for, what demographics, and of course, why does this matter?
Yes.
Okay, why does it matter? So one thing to keep in mind. Number two, another thing, right? You need to now learn how to present like a strategist. Okay. Not like just a designer. Okay. Yeah. And again, I love pitching. I love presenting. But when you step into that strategist mode, it's a completely different sphere. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not just showing your designs, you're showing your thinking behind the design.
The reason.
Okay. And we've always stressed on this. That's more important than the design itself, right?
Yeah.
You want to walk your client through the why, not before you actually show them the what.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And people don't understand that. Before I show a logo, I usually have a 10-minute spiel.
Yeah, exactly. Of what we're going to do here.
What we're going to do. Why we're going to do it. What we're doing. By the time we get to the logo, either A, they're just exhausted that they're agreeing to anything, or B, they're like, holy shit, that is exactly everything that you talked about and led up to. So you're bang on, right?
Yeah.
So walk your client through the why before showing them the what.
Yes.
Okay. Tie your visuals, to business outcomes, not to aesthetics. Okay. You want to make sure that you're letting them know that we're using these people because of this reason.
Yes.
And make sure it's never a personal feeling or an opinion.
Yes.
Your opinions don't matter. This is bigger level thinking. And then, of course, speak in their language.
Yes.
Drop the design jargon, okay? And if you don't know what design jargon is, we've got an episode about buzzwords. Go check that out, because that's good. So again, number two, learn how to present like a strategist, okay?
Yes.
Number three, upgrade your inputs. And what I mean by this is you need to start studying brand strategy, okay? More than just, design principles, because sadly, design principles now might be irrelevant in the near future. Okay. Especially if you start incorporating crazy tools to help you with this whole process. Okay. Sadly. Wow. But again, you want to understand brand strategy. You want to understand marketing. You want to understand what positioning and the psychology behind the positioning is. Right. These are all really important tools that kind of help you elevate to strategist thinking, creative thinking, not just creative doing. Okay. You want to read briefs. Okay. The briefs that you get from the customers, but think of them as puzzles, okay? Not just checklists. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. No. Find out what are the problems here that are in the. I mean, I have never seen a perfect brief.
Yeah.
In my 25 years of doing
Fair
this.
enough. Yeah.
Right? I poke holes through all of them.
Right.
So this is your job to dissect these, to try to figure out where the weaknesses are and then challenge them on it so you can find the problems within the brief. Okay. And then honestly, get obsessed with the context behind all this. Okay. Not just the composition itself. People are always excited to rush to the creative. Okay. But you need to understand, again, the why, not just the how.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's upgrading your inputs. All right. Number 4, treat AI as your intern. Okay. Not your replacement. Remember this. Okay. Your intern, not replacement. If you had a talented intern that you could unload all the stuff you didn't want to or bounce ideas off of, right?
Yeah.
You'd keep that intern forever.
Oh, yeah.
So
For sure.
You now got this. You got it now, okay?
That's great.
Use it to generate ideas faster, to brainstorm with, to experiment wider breadths, to problem solve with you. This is the most valuable tool I have ever experienced in all my years of doing design. Ever.
Without a doubt, yes.
Without a doubt,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And again, don't forget, you decide what works. AI doesn't, you do, okay? The more you use it, the more you realize it's not perfect. Okay, you're gonna challenge it if you're smart enough to think that way. Okay, don't lose sight of the fact that you need to have critical thinking in order to make this happen, right?
Yeah.
So you bring the taste, you bring the direction, and you bring the decision to what you keep and what you get rid of. You're molding what AI is giving you. You're not taking it running. Okay, and last but not least,
Interesting.
You need to shift your identity. This is critical. Absolutely critical. You need to stop seeing yourself as a designer who executes, and you need to start seeing yourself as a creative problem solver who uses design, which is only one of many tools to come to solving a customer's, problem.
Problems. Yeah.
So that's how your mindset needs to change in this whole process. So again, you don't need to, or can you become a strategist overnight? Okay, really, this isn't going to happen just at a snap, right?
Yeah.
But you have to, starting today, stop being just a designer of output. And that's the critical, that's the key takeaway here with all this, okay? Because unfortunately, AI is now capable of our output. And whether it's ethical, whether you agree or disagree, the reality is the shit that I just saw and some of the stuff I'm seeing online is scary good. But it's only output focused.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, the brilliant thing about it is it's just a tool. So if I can use this brilliant tool, which is just an enhanced version of Photoshop and Illustrator, and it's doing all my shit for me, I can use that. It'll do what I need it to do.
Yeah.
It'll help me become to elevate myself to that next level.
Yes.
This is how you need to think of AI in this case. Okay.
Right.
Honestly, this creative divide has changed. Okay. Regardless, it's changed forever. Okay. No longer can we say we're creative and we can do things that normal people can't, because the reality is, no, they can.
They can now. Yeah.
Whether it was with Canva a few years back or with templates even years before, or now with AI, more than ever. Okay. That edge that we had to be creative and knew these skills, they're gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what we have to do is we have to elevate the way we think, the way we input, and the way we execute bigger thinking, not just the creative outputs. The whole lazy designer or the Fivers who are just like, what do you want your logo to look like? What? That's gone.
Yeah, that is done.
That's done.
Yeah.
Okay. And honestly, being an order taker, that's dead.
Forget it. Yep. Exactly.
Forget it. You need to now elevate. The future designer is a critical thinker. Okay. And this is something that we promote all the time. You need to think for yourself.
Yeah.
You need to, don't take anything at face value, right? Both the sides, you can see both sides of the coin and come to your own conclusion on this, right?
Yeah.
You're the conductor, the storyteller, the maestro of the orchestra, and you are the creative director who's putting that bigger vision together.
Yeah.
This is what we are. Designers of the futures need to be thinkers, not just makers.
Yeah, makers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that, we've seen, I really wasn't concerned too much about Canva and all that, Fiverr and all this kind of stuff.
No, not at all.
But now this is really, I haven't seen the new chat stuff, but you put the fear of God into me now at this point. So
I could share some stuff.
Okay, I'm going to have to see this because
But the reality is,
you're right. There's so much more that
it is. It's AI isn't the threat.
No,
it's stagnation.
Yeah,
it's stopping and being compliant and just kind of doing the bare minimum.
Yes,
that's the killer of the designer of the future.
Or just kind of moving along at the same pace that you've gone, and thinking, I'm good. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll be fine. But no, that's not the way the pace of this design field has just stepped up. It's like a hockey stick. Huge. It's going so fast.
Buddy, honestly, even when I thought production roles, production positions had a lifespan of 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. That's
1-2 years tops. Yeah. Because all it takes is one AI app, one person to go out there and be like, give me an AI app that will create these mock-up, like just regular production stuff, clip all these images of fruits and put them on a newspaper. Well, guess what? That's already there. It's done. Photoshop was doing it. Now this new AI will do it all for you even faster. It was almost like a race to zero.
Yeah, basically.
And you know what? That's fine. But, for the past little while, I've been focusing more on my thinking, on my problem solving. And I think that, that's, when I said I was, I felt burnt out.
Yeah.
I think I was, my creative output part was a little burnt out. Oh. It didn't mean that I wasn't passionate about design, creativity, and my own personal projects.
Right.
But I was still deep in the parts, in brand problems, problem solving for customers, trying to, doing the strategy. Yeah. I still love that.
Yes. Well, that new deck that we brought on with the new client, that was exciting.
Again,
that was a thrilling kind of, there were issues to be found, and we fixed those.
And those are the things that we first addressed.
Yeah.
We got their deck. Yeah. We were like, this is great, but here are the issues. Here's the holes in your story. This is what we're proposing.
Yes.
And this is why we're proposing it. They were like, hands up. Amazing.
Yeah.
Go to it. Thank you.
And we looked at that deck 50 times and it's still awesome every time we looked at it. It was just
the funny thing is, in the end, the client probably wouldn't have cared if we did it by hand, which we did, or if there was a future tool that could just AI generate all the other slides.
Right.
Really, in the end, they didn't care because we solved the problem up front. Okay. And so at the end, the execution was just like, that was just like the given.
Yeah.
And that is the world that we're living in.
Yes.
It's going to come to a point where it's like the whole world, deserves good quality design. And while, maybe some of the AI shit we're seeing out there might not be, great with design principles yet, may not adhere to, what we've become accustomed to. Reality is the quality of the output is just, it's getting to the point where it's scary.
Yeah.
And it's so close to just like, wow.
Oh, geez.
So I genuinely think this is something that, designers need to take for serious. And again, this practical list is something that, I strongly believe in. And this is the shift. This is the shift that we all have to take for the next steps. Okay. Yeah. So the new creative divide for you guys to think about, okay, is to change how you start projects, to learn how to present like a strategist, to upgrade the inputs that you're using and the content that you're learning about, to treat AI as your intern, not your replacement, and to shift your identity from just a designer who executes to a designer who solves problems.
Yes.
Okay. This is how you need to shift your mindset for the future.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Scary as fuck.
Yeah, it is.
But it is the world that we're living in right now.
Yes. But that's why we're here to help everybody along and avoid these pitfalls and stuff like that and reframe the way we think. I like that idea.
Absolutely.
I've always considered myself a graphic designer, but
and you still can.
But there's other things to that.
You know what's funny? I think that we will end up dropping the graphic part and going back to just designer. Because a designer is doing something with intent.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you add the graphic in front of designer,
it's a different world.
It almost feels like it's a lot more thin.
Yes.
It only focuses on the aesthetics portion of it. Right. And yes, I get it. We've always said, we solve, visual problems. That's what graphic designers do.
Yeah.
But now everybody's going to be able to almost try to solve visual problems. We need to go back to the designer part.
Right.
And we need to go back to solving problems, because that's what people want to pay for. That's what customers want to pay for. That's the real value of what a designer brings to the table, is our ability to solve these problems, not just do the pretty part of, and the deliver. That's what a graphic artist does, not a graphic designer.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Nice. Wow.
All right, buddy. Woo. Well, I hope you guys appreciated this. This was maybe some high level thought shit, but please share your thoughts with us. Let us know what you think. Again, do you want more philosophical stuff? Do you not? This is just based on what we've seen and what we see what we've experienced and what we see the future is going to be like.
That's right.
And
we'll wear togas if that's what you want.
the design no, I wouldn't say we're gods, but design gods.
Socrates and
right. You don't want to see Sean in a toga. Just saying.
That's not. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Guys, hit us up online, of course. Hit us up on our Instagram, on our YouTube. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, Anger Management for Designer, which has a lot more of this and a lot more of the tips to help you guys keep moving forward into the future and getting what you deserve out of this journey, this industry, and, of course, getting paid what you deserve.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Massimo.
My name is Sean.
Stay creative
and stay angry.